So how much do you need to be making in order for you to retire at 40 years old? Like these lot, look at the life. Okay, this is by CNBC. Let's get, this is probably one of the best videos you're going to end up watching. But yeah, without further ado, let's go.
Retirement is not a destination. It's really a new phase of life.
I wanted to work on my terms and work with the gifts that I believe that I have.
In my early 30s, I came to the realization that I just could not spend the rest of my life sitting in front of a computer. We retired in our mid-30s with $870,000.
And live a little bit outside of Tucson, Arizona.
I'm an American expat retiree living off of about $185,000 in Dubai.
I live in
Wait, living 185 in Dubai. So what? As in that's the pot that he's made and saved and he's living off of that? Or does he earn that per annum? I just need a bit more clarity there, but if you know what he meant, let me know in the comment section.
Pensacola,
Like the video
Florida,
yesterday.
and retired at 28 years old.
Whoa. Nice. This is going to be a good video. I'm excited.
Some of the biggest misconceptions about retirement is that retirement is not a destination. It's really a new phase of life. Going from making minimum wage and trying to save as much as you can and counting every penny to now being able to spend whatever you want. It's been a journey. I'm Jamal Robinson. I'm an American expat retiree living off of about $185,000 in Dubai.
Wow. So he means that 185. That's all you need to retire.
I actually decided to retire at 17 years old. I was working at Taco Bell. Believe it or not, at that age, I was able to look around at the job market and I didn't see a lot of people that were happy with work. I learned that it's really important to make sure that you're working and you have your own relationship with work and you're not doing something that you don't want to do. So in my mind, I always thought that it made the most sense to compress that amount of time in my life. And I set the goal to retire early at 45, which I wound up hitting 6 years earlier than expected.
Wow, fair play.
As soon as I retired, I went out and I explored, and so far I spent about 9 countries and 15 cities, and I've been loving it. What I love most about Dubai is it really caters to people that have been retired and are looking for a lot of services and activities. I found that most often the things that were promised to me in America actually existed here. So the levels of safety, the levels of like integration of people into society where everyone's accepted. Over the weekend for fun, I find myself going out and just exploring new areas. So I may go out to the creek and just walk around and look at the boats and meet people as I walk. Two people surprised. Dubai is actually much cheaper for me than living in most of the major American cities I've been in. Dubai allows you to live the kind of lifestyle that you want to live, and it allows for a lot of different price ranges. Every month, I pay myself about $15,400 for the month. And of that $15,400, I wind up spending about $9,000. Food, I definitely don't.
So it can't be then. So he lives off of 180 something K per year. That has to be the case.
Every month, I pay myself about $15,400 for the month. And of that $15,400, I wind up spending about $9,000. Food, I definitely don't go cheap on. I typically allocate about $2,000 per month. I go out and eat a lot of times when I have friends or people that I can entertain. And then as far as home, I also cook.
Okay, so Jamal's spending in December 2024. So 12K basically. Let's just round it up to that. Yeah, or round down. Food 2.1. Discretionary 1.5. Transportation 743. I'm curious if he has a car or not. Insurance 267. Subscriptions 97. This man is living. He is living.
Cook quite a lot.
Doctors,
December was a unique
memberships
month for me because I'm on a kind of expat private insurance. I had to pay about $1,600 out of pocket for some medication. My doctor's visits were anywhere from $200 to $300 a piece. So it totaled up to be a lot higher. When it comes to getting around for transit in Dubai, I'm a little bit sad about this as I don't have a car. I use a service here where I get access to a driver, and the driver drives me all around the city. So I pay my $400 to $600 a month and use that for transportation. The place that I'm currently living in is 2 bedrooms, and it's roughly about
Nice.
900 square feet. It's right off the beach and in a premium area for Dubai. And this place costs about $5,000 per month.
Wow. Humble beginnings. How did he make his
How I
money?
live now is I'm actually spending a lot more than I typically would. My relationship growing up with money was definitely one of discipline. Without really consciously thinking through it, I chose to save a lot. Now, as I've been able to reflect a lot as an adult, I also see where I had a scarcity mindset and maybe not a healthy relationship with money in the sense of I wanted to hoard it. Luckily, I've been able to graduate to a place where I'm much more comfortable. I've been opening up the checkbook and spending more. Growing up, I didn't get much knowledge on money and investments and things that I'm focused on now. I think my parents coming from lower middle and class homes were more so focused on survival, as many people might be. My parents had worked pretty hard in their life, and I just saw the wear and tear that took on them. So I wanted to be careful to not be in a similar situation and have to work and just give all of my life source and energy to a job for the remainder of my life. And I didn't know how I was going to do it, but those factors really contributed to me wanting to retire at an early age.
Fair play.
Climbing up the corporate ladder was not easy, but I definitely aggressively climbed up the corporate ladder. I moved to Austin, Texas, worked at this amazing startup called InfoChimps, and made a lot of great connections there. And that accelerated me into tech, which later led to IBM, Amazon, Intel, Microsoft, and a few others.
Okay, so IT.
So
So it seems like IT is the place to be. After a year at the startup, Jamal accepted a position at IBM in cloud solutions. IT is the place.
So I always kept my eyes open for new opportunities, also made sure that I was as valuable as possible. And I would say my salary went from about 40,000 to about 60,000 to about 64,000. And then that's when I had one of my bigger jumps.
100 and something. Whoa. Jamal's salary continued to increasing up to 724K. Salary. IT is the place to be. Needless to say.
And then after that, I went to north of 1 million.
Wow, fair play, my friend. Hold on, so Jamal worked in AI analytics company like Amazon. Yep. He saved up to 90% of his salary each row.
So when
Comment
I
in
got
the comment
the
section
big
if you
jump,
know,
at most I may
if
go
you
out
know
and get
what
a
that
meal.
was.
A lot of times I didn't even do that. I always remind people that in my head I'm still the guy that's making a minimum wage working at Taco Bell. So when people see these large salaries or ask me, hey, how did it feel to make over $1 million a year? I often tell them, I don't know, it felt like making not quite minimum wage, but also not like making $1 million a year. I would make $1 million a year and I would struggle to spend over $50 on item.
Fair play. So the goal is basically make money, live like you're broke. It's that simple. It's not complex. Make money and just live like you're broke. What more do you want?
There definitely was a certain amount of money that I wanted to hit when I retired. Over the years that has changed. It started off in the low 1.5 million, then it got up to 5 million, then 20 million. And at some point I realized that with what I need in life, I settled on my number, which is around 4 million.
Fair play.
Some of the biggest misconceptions about retirement, or at the very least things that people need to know, is that retirement is not a destination. It's really a new phase of life. I want to maximize my life experiences and not keep saving money for the future. Part of retiring was so I could explore my hobbies more. And the hobbies that I have are typically in the space of creativity. I DJ in my spare time. I've always had a love for music. So as I've gotten older and got more aware of technologies that exist, I've gotten more into producing music and just playing around with sounds. When it comes to choosing where I live, I have a matrix of about 14 things that qualify safety, the amount of singles that they have as I'm still single, the population, how diverse it is, the government, how stable it is, the currency, and a few other things. And Dubai hit pretty high on that list.
But he needs to watch out in Dubai though, because there are a lot of females who are out there to play you. Okay, gold diggers. So I've often seen, because I've gone through tons of videos now, a lot of men in particular mention that Dubai is the worst place basically to date. Just keeping it 100. So
List.
I'm curious how that
What I
looks.
love the most about Dubai is the cultural diversity. There's people from literally all over the world. So immediately I was able to come and feel at home. On top of that, it's very centrally located. So I can travel to the US or travel to the East and check out various like Southeast Asian countries along with Australia. And then at the same time, there's just a lot to do here. As an American expat that's also Black, I would say my experience has been very different than what I'm used to. In America, you're typically identified as a Black person first, and then after that, you're an engineer or a janitor or whatever they want to label you as. And I would say that as I've traveled around the world, as soon as I open my mouth and people hear the accent, I typically get categorized with the rest of Americans. So quite often I don't feel my Blackness. It's almost like you're celebrated and people will come up to you and they want to talk and engage with you. So I found that it's been, maybe for the first time in my life, a privilege to be a Black person, and it's been really beneficial. Overall, I find that I'm more happy and more at peace, and it's just much better here than where I was living before. I do plan to travel in the very near future. I'm going back to Amsterdam. I'm also going to Bangkok, Thailand. I was thinking about checking out South Africa, and for various reasons, I'm going to head back to the US for a little while. And as far as what's actually next, I would say I try not to think in the typical term of what's next. As long as I can retain those emotional states and make sure that I'm also doing so while adding value to the world, I'm okay with it.
Okay, so I sold my nursing company for, whoa, that's a large number, for 12.5 and retired at 28. Happy for you, my brother. Very happy for
My
you.
personal definition of retirement is financial freedom, not necessarily retirement from doing work that fulfills you and that you're passionate about. I wanted to work on my terms and work with the gifts that I believe that I have, and being able to expound on those gifts and try to provide value to others where best I can. My name is Nathaniel Farrelly. I am 29 years old. I live in Pensacola, Florida, and retired at 28 years old.
Amazing.
In March of 2020, I started my company, Revitalize Specialty Infusion, and we partnered.
So he only started in 2020. Wow, that's very impressive.
2020, I started my company, Revitalize Specialty Infusion, and we partnered with specialty pharmacies and hospital organizations to provide nurses to the patients' homes. Home infusion therapy is, instead of a patient going to a hospital or an infusion clinic or a doctor's office for their chronic infusion therapy, we can essentially send the nurse directly to the patient's home.
It's like a delivery service. Fair play. Budget. It's gonna be crazy.
We have several million in cash, and that is accruing at 4.75%. And whatever we don't use in that month, we either let that continue accruing interest, compounding interest, or reinvest in other avenues that may produce greater returns with the least amount of risk possible.
See, that's the thing. Once you build up a large number, you don't need to take a lot of risks. You start to salivate about the small percentages, like small percent returns. That's what you're more concerned with. Like, oh, it gives me back what, 2%? Okay, yeah, I'll take that. 3%. Oh, okay, 5. Oh, you never look at the 50% returns. You know, the crazy ones, because you could lose your money, because you could easily lose 50%. Yes, you can make 50%, but you can also lose 50%. So, and that's why a lot of people start to dabble with ETFs, okay? Electronically traded funds, if you don't know. A couple of bonds here and then, but just different forms of investing where the risk is low, diversification, blah, blah, blah. So let's see what Nathaniel's spending is.
Our biggest expense would be the property tax.
Whoa. February, he spent 22 grand.
The homeowner's insurance and flood insurance that we have. In addition
Okay, he's a big boy in the game, so he's donating about 6.7K. Alright, cool.
to that, our next biggest expense would be a private school tuition for our kids.
Where's the private school tuition? So I'm assuming it's in here. Oh no, sorry. Child education, sorry. So about $1,000. Food 1.6. Property taxes 1.8. Insurance 1.9. Okay, so the donation is the biggest part. Well, one of the biggest parts, sorry. And then the discretionary as well. 8 grand, let's just say. He's living the life, eh? He bought a home outside for 1.9 in cash. Humble beginnings.
I met my wife when she was 14. I was 15.
Oh, that's the best. You've won in life, my friend. Hopefully she's a good wife to you, but if she is, you've won, because you know she's not with you for your money. You know that. Whatever her name is, it could be Stacy. You know Stacy was there from the beginning. I love her because she just knows me. She does. She knew you from the get-go. So that is the most priceless thing. Oh, I'm so happy for you, Nathaniel, man. May God bless you, sir.
15.
If you
and
ever
I
watched
knew
the
she
video,
was the one.
hey,
I remember taking her
help a
dad out
brother
to
out.
Applebee's in Westerly, Rhode Island, and seriously asking for a hand in marriage when she was only 16. And I was fully convinced that he would let us. And of course, his answer was no. But I was dedicated to prove to him that I would be able to support his daughter.
What a guy, man. I love this guy already. Nathaniel started the landscaping business in high school and sold items. Okay. Always been business oriented, yeah?
I was health conscious and I had a passion for helping people. My end goal was to have my own practice as a family nurse practitioner. After 10th grade, instead of spending another 2 years to complete high school, I realized that I could shift that energy into studying for my GED, working towards my nursing degree at a community college in Rhode Island.
That's just beautiful.
My first job as a registered nurse was in the ICU step down, and I only had 1 week of training and orientation. I remember waking up every morning sick to my stomach, dreading to going to work every day. That start of not having the appropriate training, I believe it opened up a lot of anxiety and stress. I ran into a nurse that was actually doing infusion therapy. Wasn't really quite sure what that exactly was at that time, but I do remember her saying independent contractor, and me as an entrepreneur and having a brief understanding of that resonated really well with me. I realized that there was a huge need for nurses in this space. My goal and mission was really to replicate what I experienced going from a very stressful environment to now something that I look forward to seeing my patient. So I started the business with less than $1,000. It was just a couple weeks later, that's when COVID was announced. While I believe infusion therapy is certainly a growing industry, I do believe it was just being in the right place, the right time. Our value proposition was not only the compassionate care that we strive to provide to the patients, but we also provided a cost-effective method for those pharmacies and hospital organizations. So I remember starting out seeing patients myself, calling nurses, training them myself, and I soon realized that if I was to continue doing that, I would not be able to fully fulfill that mission I had set in place to help as many patients and as many nurses as possible. Our goal was to be a community-based business. By growing a concentrated team of nurses within just a few states, that really allowed us to be able to provide timely care to the patients in need at that time. A lot of the other competitors, they would charge per hour for nurse drive time, and they would send a nurse 2-3 hours one way just to see a patient, then pass that burden on to the pharmacy. Essentially, instead of requiring a nurse to drive somewhere far, we would give them the freedom and opportunity to really choose when they want to work.
Okay. So he had a USP.
When we went into our first house, I would say many would have just turned back around and shut the door because it was definitely a fixer-upper. Quickly, through nursing school, that's when I started taking down walls and, putting the house back together. And of course, when COVID came, the market for housing drastically increased. So the house that we bought for $140,000, we ended up selling that in September of 2020 for $310,000. And we walked away with $175,000 cash. That allowed me to use that as the working capital to really grow the business.
Wow, my friend, he's a hustler. So hold on, because he started the company in. So Nathaniel received. Hold on, there. Okay, so in 2020, because don't forget he started the company in 2020. So in 2021, Nathaniel received 2 PPP loans totaling 111. Okay. And then both were given later. Okay, cool. Both were forgiven later that year. Within 3 years, Revitalize grew to more than 200 nurses. Yeah, crazy, man. 3 years is not a long time. Crazy.
I would get daily and weekly calls from private equity wanting to acquire my company for $1 million, a couple million. And it wasn't until where really the right buyer came and I knew that the nurses would be paid and rewarded more than what they were at that time from a corporation coming in, as well as the patients, really being able to fulfill that mission and grow that vision and mission at a much larger scale and much faster. It wasn't until September of 2024, I fully resigned from that company. And I remember that week, my wife surprised me that we were expecting our 4th. A great surprise.
Oh, that's perfect. Goodness me. This guy is just living it, isn't he? What a great surprise upon, oh my days.
My so-called early retirement.
Early retirement gift.
So this is definitely a family sabbatical, and I hope that this lasts indefinitely. I look forward to my kids coming home to school every single day. We like to play Mario Kart, and just being able to go in our backyard. We have a pool. It's really amazing living on the bay, just being able to see the...
Hold on, so now the trouble is having kids like this grow up in this environment. How difficult, let me know in the comment section down below, how difficult is it to instill hard work or the same values and ethics, hard work basically, work ethics that you had? So that level of hunger, would you say it's easy or super difficult to install it in your kids once you've achieved or acquired some level of success? In fact, I'll let you guys know what I think near the end of the video.
See the dolphins come up to your dock and fish when you feel like it. You can take the boat out.
In retirement, Nathaniel is an angel investor ventures. Wow.
The most important part of financial freedom is being able to give freely. So I believe money I'm just managing. It's not necessarily mine. And that's where I really shifted my investment strategies to other small businesses, angel investments, and now even praying about possibly starting another company at some point in the future.
What a guy, what a G. Nathaniel has built a real estate portfolio, including 11 properties. Wow.
I realized that 8 figures, it can either last generationally or it can disappear really fast through bad investments and lifestyle creep for sure.
Family plans to keep investing and eventually come out of retirement to launch another company.
I do foresee
he's young.
always having the freedom to take a day off and spend with family and just really trying to reflect on this time that I have and be as present and available for my family as possible. And it's really great getting to see them grow.
Wow, that was powerful. Retiring early on $870K in Arizona.
In my
I love
early
this.
30s, I came to the realization that I just could not spend the rest of my life sitting in front of a computer, working 10 to 12 hours a day, writing computer code or fixing problems. I just couldn't do that. I knew I needed a change.
This couple retired early on $870K. Here's how they spend
I'm Steve
their
and
money.
I'm 39.
And I'm Courtney and I'm 36.
And we retired in our mid-30s with $870,000.
And live a little bit outside of Tucson, Arizona.
Steve retired at 35, Courtney 33. Since retiring, their net worth
What's
has
nice is
grown
that
to
our
around 1.2.
day-to-day lives are both have structure, but they
Awesome.
don't have to. Because we don't have full-time jobs, we can choose to do things on a Wednesday or a Tuesday or whenever.
Early retirement for me isn't about just not working, it's about freedom. The freedom to design your day, to do whatever you want during the day.
That's what everybody wants. I'm sorry for stopping at that. That's what literally everybody wants. Most people, when you talk to them, they tell you, I mean, it's money, but it's not really money. Let me just be honest with you. It's not the money. I just want to be able to do what I want when I want without somebody to tell me how to do it. Let me know in the comment section if you resonate with what I'm saying, if you completely agree. Majority of people don't actually want gazillions of dollars and pounds or whatever it is. They just want the freedom to be on their own schedule. Let's breathe.
The day. So for me, that means getting up around 6 a.m. Maybe I work out for
nice.
a couple of hours. I mess around on the computer for a while, do email, social media, that kind of thing. We go out and take walks with the dogs at about 10 a.m. The freedom is a complete life-changing event.
Retiring early.
My wife, Courtney, has always been way more of a saver than I was. Before we got married, I had the house in the suburbs. I had a supercharged Corvette convertible. I had a brand new Cadillac CTS. I had a Yamaha R1 sport bike.
he was a
I had all
spender.
the toys. I spent a lot of money.
Courtney journey retirement started in 2014. Before they retired, Steve was making around $100 a year in IT. I told you guys the money's in IT, and Courtney was making around $110.
We figured
systems
out we
engineer.
needed to save between $800,000 and $900,000 as long as we kept our lifestyle pretty minimal and did some big changes like moved into our Airstream and were able to keep our monthly expenses down to a minimum. It
Oh,
also
my
included
days.
more
Dear
normal
jeez.
things like cutting our restaurant budget way down. I think at one point we're down to at max $50 a month combined for anything outside of the house. We tracked all of our groceries. We got rid of all of our subscriptions that we weren't actually using.
We decided that we wanted early retirement more than we wanted some of the nicer things in life that other people might want to spend money on. So for us, the trade-off was worth it.
So we maxed out both of our retirement accounts. We also saved more money than that. So at one point we were saving 70% of our combined income. So all of my income and some of Steve's. And that was going into our 401ks and Roth IRAs, but also into a brokerage account and a savings account.
Fair play. They put in the work, man. Graham Stephan would be very proud of them. At the start of their retirement, came off too fast. At the start of retirement, Courtney and Steve's yearly budget was around $30K, and then it went up to 40 to
As a
50.
married couple, we have a combined checking account as well as savings account. We keep everything together. That makes it simple for us. So we talk about every single purchase. We agree on everything that we spend money on, and it's very easy. Usually, Courtney is the one who is managing the day-to-day, and I use that term loosely because there's just not that much to manage. We have a grand total of $0 in debt.
Yes.
Come on. And if you have debt, get rid of it. Remember, borrow a slave to the lender.
So that includes our groceries, our restaurants, and also one of the most.
Hold on, let me see the type of food they have.
Our groceries, our
Okay, not too bad.
restaurants,
Healthy.
and
Apart from
also one of the most important things in our day, happy hour.
Our happy hours. We
Do they
enjoy
have
those.
kids?
We
Did
will
they mention
go
if they
to a
have
grocery
kids?
store about 45 minutes away once every week and a half or so for a normal shop. We also get veggies from our community farm through a
Nice.
CSA program, a community sponsored agriculture program. So that's once a
Nice.
week. And then we'll do our big bulk buys at like Costco in Tucson. And then for dental, we live very close to the Mexican border, and cleanings across the border in Mexico tend to be about $25. So not too bad.
They have figured it out.
Day to day, we don't actually spend that much time on our general finances, but maybe 5 to 10 minutes a day, a total of about an hour a week, will be spent looking at everything and making sure everything is still going the way we want it to, and we're not going to run out of money in any of our accounts.
And Steve used about 4% rule to withdraw their money. According to this rule, you can safely withdraw 4% a year from a retirement portfolio without running out of money.
So we take a look at what our net worth is currently, and 4% of that or less is kind of our budget for the year. So if we're having a good year and we're making money, we can be a little bit more flexible with our lifestyle. And then if we're in a down market, we will really cut back.
They're very wise, man.
Our rule of thumb when it comes
savings.
to
Sorry, I missed that. Currently, it's taxable brokerages accounts and okay, cool. They're
Our
still
rule
hustling.
of thumb when it comes to when we actually sell our investments and take money out is we only do it in an up market if we can help it, which is why we have that savings account there. And we'll sell stock to get money in an up market if one, we need to replenish our savings, or two, we have a big purchase that we're planning to make in the near future.
If only they spoke about which stocks they own, that would have been good as well, especially for our channel because it's based around finance, right? They try to keep between 60k to 80k in their savings account. The couple's net worth dropped almost 200
We were in a little mini
due to the
but
pandemic.
sharp recession. And my friends and some of my family were begging me to sell to get out of the market because everything is going to crash. But for us, we did not do that. We did not sell a single share of stock during the economic downturn. And since then, we have recovered about 150%, so that's $250,000, $300,000 since April of last year. So we are now in a better position than we were before, precisely because we did not try to time the market.
Hopefully they bought more when it was down.
It was my first representation of freedom after work. We got to live in here and travel the country for a living. That was awesome.
We would be traveling sometimes multiple days a week and did an entire trip from our home state of Arizona all the way out east to New York, up to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and all the way back down. Working the little jobs we do or whatever from the road, we could really be wherever we wanted to be.
We call our house the off-grid recession-proof house for just that reason. Almost no expenses. We can live here nearly as cheaply as we need to. We have no power running to the house. We have solar only. So that was a prepayment essentially, but we have no monthly payments there. We don't have to pay for water because we use water catchment. We don't have to pay for sewer because we have septic on site. And that was really attractive. We don't have to pay for sewer because we have septic on site.
So they've got a septic tank.
And that was really attractive to us as we were trying to settle down from full-time Airstream, so full-time mobile life. Where do we go? How do we keep our expenses down so we can stay early retired? And choosing a very minimal lifestyle in a house with almost no expenses, that was a very attractive proposition for us. Almost no expenses.
The couple's home is completely paid off.
That was a very attractive proposition.
And they only pay $144 in property tax. So apart from that, electricity is taken care of, water. They're winning. Out of everybody here, apart from the guy who retired, Nathaniel, that's my guy. There we go. There's my guy with Nathaniel. I like, yeah, I mean, they're doing it right. They're simple. They've just won. They're simple, as I said, apart from Nathaniel, because of the large sum of money that he has. They only have 800 and something K, but they're really, they're doing it so well. I'm struggling to talk. They've really been able to stretch it and go a long way with it. That's truly inspirational. Let's see what the comment section says. I mean, we're watching this video super early, so hold on, let's just comment. In fact, I need to use, I should comment with my other account. I'm gonna comment here before it blows up, but I'll comment that with my other account. Okay, but let's just read this. Hey, this the black guy again. Hold on, it's the black guy again. I don't know, but it seems like they've seen him. I hope I can retire early one day. 2000 to America. Crazy. So yeah, it's super late at night. I think it's perfect time for me to go bed. But I'm gonna leave you guys with this, okay? If you don't save yourself, no one else will. So these people that we just watched, they done something for themselves. They essentially saved themselves. They said, only I can do this for me, because nobody across the world is excited to make sure that I retire early. No one. So I need to do this for myself so that I can be able to retire early one day. All right? Go after it with all your strength. And trust me, the world will just give up. All right? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Which partner or which person in the video you prefer, position wise? Nathaniel, the couples at the end, the black guy in the beginning, or anyone else. All right,